Hey, what's up, guys? All right, Brandon, founder of NOVAEO. All right, let's talk a little bit about this finance role because, pretty much, was pretty much consistent across all things NOVAEO is we do things super unique. We do not follow any kind of mentor or traditional business or anything. It's really easiest to think of me as an artist, and anything that NOVAEO is doing or has done or the direction that we're going is more from like a creativity mindset than a follow the leader mindset or corporate mindset or traditional like academic or book learning mindset or anything. So with this role, this financial leadership role, basically consider it to be all things that you would think of that we would need in the world of finance. So understand our business model a little bit. Just the fact that we're an e-commerce oriented business. We have tons of Amazon stores. We're growing off Amazon. Tons of product brands. We operate through a Series LLC based in Puerto Rico. So we have tons of different LLCs in that Series LLC umbrella, and then we have a USA based. Well, technically Puerto Rico is part of the USA, but we have another entity based in the US that does our manufacturing. So we have a bunch of entities working together. We're in e-commerce, so all things financial management that you would expect to have going on in that world. However, on the more creative side is even though we need to operate as big business as we're growing quite rampantly and growing further and further in that direction, there's still a lot of like little sneaky, tricky values that can be created in the world of small business or personal business, or like personal banking, call it. So, and these are the things that we really like to make sure we stay on top of, because these little values can actually add up to be quite significant. So, for example, Derek, one of the other NOVAEO owners, he discovered this company called Fund and Grow, and their whole shtick is they apply for a bunch of credit cards in your name at the personal level. This is at the personal level. Get you some credit, and then every 3 months, so basically after your inquiries expire, they do another round, and in this way, they're basically building your credit about 50 to 75K every 3 months, and so you're basically just building credit more or less indefinitely. Without any major blows to your credit score or anything like that. So, okay, 50K for our business is not super substantial, but if this is something that can basically be done, 4 times a year, so now we're at anywhere from 400 to 600, 200 to 400, or 200 to 300, I guess, 200 to 300K a year after year after year. We have two owners, so it does eventually add up, and it's very simple. So why not do it? There's other little things like credit blitzes that might come in handy at certain times. And see, I have a list of some stuff here. Here's a pretty unique one too that we discovered through online forums, and this is more on the business side. So you can actually build up business credit from things such as like Home Depot 30-day credit term cards. So it's not really a credit card; it's just an account that you can have with Home Depot, which if you're not familiar with Home Depot, it's a like industrial supply store for both businesses and like just regular consumers. So if they wanted to like do some kind of like home improvement type stuff, Lowe's is another one. There's actually all kinds of these different accounts that they aren't actual credit accounts, but they do show up on a business credit score. So I guess that'd be like the Dun & Bradstreet score. So setting up those accounts, Uline, that's another one. Setting up those accounts, that boosts our score so that we can get extra credit on the D&B. So little tiny things like that are stuff that we also want to look into. Now, going more specific to us would be, I'm a disabled veteran, United States disabled military veteran, technically. There's a story to that, but technically, which gives me access to even more loans from the SBA, the Small Business Administration. So we want to be really aware and up to date with what the SBA is offering. So the big one that happened during COVID is the SBA offered the EIDL loan, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, of which we were late to the party. We took us a while to get approved. It seemed like a lot of people were getting approved before us, even though we submitted on time. But we eventually got the maximum, which was a $2 million loan, low interest over 30 years. So like, whoa, holy shit. Of which we're still actually right now sitting on about like 1.4 of that in cash. So, this would be a situation in which, how do we maximize the use of that? We're purchasing inventory, we're growing, but we still have a shit ton of cash in one of our accounts. In fact, Derek, who I previously mentioned, he's pretty into crypto, nothing too hardcore, but pretty into crypto, and he was wanting us to invest it in a stable coin. And we kind of just didn't really get around to it. And also, I guess I just had like a bad feeling about it. And sure enough, if you're familiar with crypto, the stable coin crashed, whatever it was, like 3 weeks ago or a month ago or whatever. So we would have lost a shit ton of money had we done that. So, but he's not our financial lead. So that's why, it's things like that we would also be looking into. So always being up to date with like government loans, government grants. Going back to the personal side. So, one issue that we've been having with some immediate lending, we ran into some really cash tight scenarios before we got this loan. The pandemic was pretty rough on us. And while we were trying to get lending, I'm a nomad, which means I've had shit tons of addresses over the past like 5 years. And, I've had like accounts opened and closed and stuff like that. And so that actually became an issue for a lot of lending. And so needing to do like a personal finance cleanup would have been really nice. But we didn't really have the headspace to do that. So basically just, looking up what accounts were in my name, deleting them, changing all addresses to a consistent address, these kinds of things, because basically it was throwing like fraud flags. So let's see, what else do I have on this list? Yeah, I already talked about crypto investing in general. On the crypto side, so yeah, like how we're getting really creative. So I mentioned that we have businesses set up in Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico is trying to become like one of the crypto hubs of the world. One of the ways they're doing that is by anyone that becomes a Puerto Rican resident and sets up their tax laws there. It's 4% income tax and 0% capital gains. So we've now set up our business, and I'm in the process of becoming a Puerto Rican resident so we can take advantage of this stuff. And so one of the things that we want to do for our team is set up, we're calling it a retirement account, but it's not actually a retirement account. We want to set it up so that we can set up month-to-month goals for our team, like team-wide goals. So even sometimes individuals won't really even have a role in the team goal, but it just kind of keeps everyone on the same page of like, if we hit the goal, which they're very attainable goals, we do anywhere from like $5 to $20 deposits into everyone's crypto account. Now, instead of actually just depositing straight into a crypto account, this would likely go into, I guess, my personal account so that we can take advantage of this Puerto Rican Act 60 thing, and then maintain spreadsheet so that we have awareness of how much deposits have been in every single individual's name, and then we'll build some kind of system in which that money vests to the individual. So in general, we're doing a lot internally to encourage like anyone that we bring into this team, we want focused in being a super long-term invested member of this team. We're calling community instead of what's a lot out there a lot of times is people that are thinking themselves more as like a freelancer, thinking of us as like a client, hopping around, that kind of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of value in those people too, but that's not what we're trying to build. So anyway, to build this like crypto retirement, again, it's not really retirement. Stuff would vest after like 3 years, 5 years, etc. This is the kind of unique, creative thinking that we're trying to set up. But my brain, I'm pretty decent at financial management, but there's still additional things that would have to get researched, and then additional things that someone with experience would bring to the table to help me think through these creative things and to actually turning the creative idea, the value producing idea, into an actual, okay, let's get this system started. So anyway, I just wanted to create this video to kind of express that there is a very unique creative element to this role when applying to our team that wouldn't exist in most others, but it's in addition to all the standard, financial management things that you would think would fall under this type of role. We have a really solid accountant, in-house accountant, Blaise. So we do have that asset, that resource already built into our team. Accounting is one of our major strong points just because of her. So obviously accounting and finance are go together pretty closely. So you would be joining a team with that strength on board already, which is great. And then eventually we want to even not just have this being a service that operates our business. Well, excuse me, I guess like a function that operates our business, but we want to get this so strong, both the accounting and the finance side, that we can basically part this out as it's a separate entity that we can build a business around, and so that we attract clients to do accounting and financial services for as well, which is actually going to be our strategy across the board. Because we're vertically integrated, or mostly vertically integrated, everything that we do, we're going to start separating into separate entities, establishing like a CEO in those entities, and then trying to build a client base for each entity. So whether it's our creative agency, marketing agency, social media agency, our supply chain and manufacturing arm, et cetera, our customer engagement team, we want to separate all these things into different entities and what we're calling into an ecosystem, of which our central NOVAEO core owns the majority share into every entity, such that whenever one entity brings in clients, in fact, we're even going to create an entity whose role it is to bring clients into the ecosystem. Those clients will often get pushed around into our other services as well. I actually have some pretty lengthy YouTube videos on this because we're not quite ready to launch it. We're not quite ready to break everything up, but we are ready to start getting that energy out there and seeing who we can recruit for leadership into these different entities. So this whole concept would actually be a big conversation that we would have, because obviously there is plenty of financial strategy that goes into the concept of how do we set this up, what consequences are there for breaking up a single entity that's a pretty big entity. Obviously that can hurt some things as well as help. So these would be the types of conversations that we would be having, not just normal financial management sort of stuff. All right, cool. Thanks for your time.